Welcome to the lazyfluency podcast, where we have casual conversations switching between English and Japanese, so you can learn from and with us along the way. I'm Joey.
And I'm Yami.
And the topic of the day is drinking culture. But before we get into that, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and or drop a review on whatever platform you're listening on. We appreciate the support. But with that out of the way, drinking culture. So the topic I decided to do today was actually, I was trying to do another topic, or wanted to do another topic, but then I kept hearing about this in Western news, and since you hadn't heard about it apparently, I thought it was too interesting to pass up on. So basically, as of this past week, the Tax Bureau of Japan, or I guess Department of Japan, made a statement that they're planning to host. Yeah, they made a statement saying that they're basically trying to increase the amount of people drinking beer, wine, whiskey, shochu, Japanese sake. And in order to do that, they're running I don't know if they specified the reward, but it looks they're running a competition or something called, was it Biba? Oh, yeah. Oh, Sake Biba.
Biba.
Yeah. From ages 20 to 39. For basically who can create or form up a plan to increase drinking within this age range in Japan.
なるほど。とても健康的には聞こえないんですけど。
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of opinions on this, but first I want to hear what your opinion is. What do you think about this whole situation?
まあ事実としてはそういうの多分コロナとかでなんか宴会とかお酒提供しちゃいけないとかそういうのがあったから確実にお酒の消費量は減ってると思うんだよ。でそのお酒からもその酒税って言って税金取ってるからその分税金のねその収入も減ってる。で国はそのなんていうの緊急事態宣言とかなんかで飲食店にさその補助のお金を出さないといけないじゃん。それでやっぱり国もね、その頑張ってるけどお金はどんどん減っていく一方でしょ。
Yeah.
そうなるとやっぱり何かしらの形で税金っていうかまあ国の収入は増やしていかないとね多分日本は崩壊していくと思うからまあ酒税で取るのはいいと思うんだけどでもそのいっぱい飲もうじゃなくて酒税の割合だから例えば今何パーか分かんないけど例えば 5% としたら 10% にするとかね、まあでもそれだとみんな買わなくなっちゃうのか。
I don't think people would stop buying it, but I think there's like two reasons why that probably won't happen. The first one is the Japanese government is controlled by old people, and old people wouldn't want an increase on their taxes. But I do think that if there were to be an increase on taxes, a lot of the old people would totally buy beer. You're saying like most old Japanese people I've met are just straight up alcoholics. So like I would be very surprised if they like an extra 5% tax or however much made them stop drinking beer.
まあね確かにね実質そのタバコもタバコ税っていうのがあるんだけどかなりまあ値上げして今だと何パーセントだろう、まあ、でもすごい一箱400-500円とか600円するのかなタバコだから結構値上げはしてるよ、
Yeah, I mean normally they like I guess the thing I'm a little confused about is, so this is, I don't know if this term exists in Japan or Japanese, but in English we would call something that like taxes that's affecting something that hurts you, like an individual, a sin tax. So the idea being it is something that the government does not actually want to happen, but they view it as inevitable. And so if you can't prevent it, instead of banning it to make like to encourage like black market sales, you just tax it. So at least the country can get a benefit from it. But ideally, I think the notion of syntax is it's a deterrent. You want people who like things under a syntax to decrease. That's the whole point of it being a tax. You're saying we don't want this behavior, so we're going to tax this behavior in efforts to lower the amount that people are using it. But in Japan, it's like I'm just thinking of like the Japanese expression, the homatsu tento, or the what's it called? Getting the cart before the horse, I think is the English expression, or something like that. Where it's like maybe they don't have the notion of syntax, so they just like, oh, it's something that we're taxing and we're getting less money now, so we need to increase it. But like something else I thought was funny that you were mentioning is how a big portion of this is that they think the coronavirus led to less drinking, which I think is hilarious. That just shows how much of alcoholics like Japan is as a whole. Because if I heard that statement, I'd be like, what? That in America, that wouldn't make any sense. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that drinking went up during the pandemic in America. Because you're all lonely, and so you're drinking by yourself. You know, the old scene with like somebody on the TV.
そういう人もいるかもしれない。
But
結果的には
But I think the reason it went down though is because in Japan you're forced to drink with everybody around you all the time. And so because they couldn't meet up in person, all these, instead of having a bunch of people drinking sadly by themselves, there were so many previous like nomikais and stuff like that disappeared because of the pandemic.
そうそうそう。多分それも一つの理由かなっていう予想ね。まあ実際影響なんていう関係してるかわからないけど。
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, what's it called? Normally, at least in my American brain, drinking is associated with you either at a bar, like sad, or in your house sad. Unless it's like unless it's like a beer ad, in which case, like beer ads in the US are always like very like high energy. They're always like attractive women on them, and then it'll be like save the moment or something. Budweiser, or I don't entirely know what their campaigns are. What are the beer ads like in Japan? Kind of aside, but sort of related.
なんかね、やっぱりなんか一人というよりかは、なんかみんなで飲もうみたいな感じかも。その、なんて言うんだろう。お花見だったり、その、お花見でみんなで飲むとことか、あと仕事終わりで飲む人とか多いかも。
Does everybody go like kanpai and like raise their glasses up?
そう、乾杯。乾杯ってやって、ゴクゴクゴク。みたいな CM 多いよ。
What are the brands in like the top brand like beer brands in? Is it Asahi's not a brand, right? That's a shimbun. That's a newspaper.
アサヒも多分あるよ。なんかごめんなさいね。私本当にお酒飲まないからさ。アサヒキリンとか。
Oh yeah, Kirin. I love Kirin. Just
札幌 right?
Yeah, Sapporo. Not that I drink Kirin. I also don't drink beer either. But I learned the kanji for giraffe.
そう、あとはね、お酒弱い人はなんかほろ酔いっていうなんかもうほぼジュースみたいなやつがあるんだけど。
Oh yeah, that's the funniest thing actually. That I talked to my brother and some friends actually about that beer specifically. And
ほろ酔い?
That's like the non-alcoholic beer, right? You're talking about something.
ほぼゼロみたいな。なんか 0. 何みたいな。
Oh, well, I remember hearing one that was like it was technically qualified as non-alcoholic, but it tasted like beer. And from what, maybe we're not qualified for this, as we're both not really don't drink alcohol at all. But from people, I asked people that say they like beer, and even and my brother who likes drinking wine and some other stuff as well. And basically, this is the question. I said, if you could drink any drink and get the effect of beer, like the alcohol, whatever, would you ever choose beer as an option? Like you could drink a smoothie and get that same effect, or you could drink this and that, taste the same. It doesn't taste like a smoothie, whatever, tastes the exact same, but you get drunk. And he's like, and everybody I talked to said, well, not really, because and so my take is nobody really actually likes drinking beer. They think they do, but they like the feeling of getting drunk or buzzed more so than they like the taste of beer.
ああ、そうなの。
Well, this is just my take. This is just my take. Because I...
なんかね、やっぱり、そのビールってさ、ちょっと苦いじゃん。
Yeah.
苦いのよ。まあ、ビターなのよ。だから、やっぱり、その、飲み始めた人、例えば20歳とかの人は、まあ、あんま好きじゃないって言うけど、結構割と中年とか、もう、お酒飲み慣れてる人からすると、なんかね、美味しいらしいよ。
I mean, okay, here's the thing. Would any of them, if coffee or tea had the same effect, would they rather drink beer over coffee and tea? That's the question.
ね。いや、いつも思うけどさ、なんでお酒飲みたいのと思うんだけど。
Well, because I'm saying it's the vibe. You want the vibe. Also, I think there's a maturity associated with getting drunk and losing control of yourself, which is ironic.
ね。なんかね、だって酔ってさ、なんか吐いたりするのが好きな人って、ちょっと理解できない。
I mean, for a lot of people, I think it's like a stress reliever, which is that's in its own category. But I'm just talking about, does it taste good, or is it just the feeling you get? And I think it's just the feeling you get.
あ、テイストっていうか、なんか気持ちよさじゃない？なんかドライのやつとかさ、飲んだ後のここが気持ちいいみたいな、あんじゃない？
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly. I'm saying that's why they drink
味じゃ
beer.
ないから、そうか。
No, yeah, that's my take. My take is if you could drink like anything else and have the same effect, people would choose to drink that. But instead, people act like they like beer. Did I tell you about how my host father like tried to get me to drink beer almost every day?
Oh, yeah. Almost every day?
Yeah.
それ聞いたことないわ。
Oh, okay. I may have talked about it on the podcast, but basically when I studied abroad in Japan, I had a host father who every day he like around like after dinner, he'd walk in and go, no, what is it? He'd go, some, which is like it's cold. And then then he'd like stumble over and go, some, and he'd go like sit down at the table, and then he'd crack open a well, no, it'd be right before dinner because sometimes he'd eat with us. I don't remember what beer he'd crack open, but let's just I don't know. It looked like a cheap beer, the equivalent of like an American Bud Light or something. And then he would always offer me one because he has a bunch. And then a lot of the times, like, because I'd say like, no, I'm good. He got sneaky about it, so he'd fill up a glass of beer and put it in front of me. And then I was like, oh, what's this? And he's like, oh, that's water. Don't even worry about it. And I was like, are you sure? And then he just started laughing. And he's like, nah, you're good. And sometimes he like...
見ればわかるじゃんね。
Well, yeah. I think he said it was apple juice when I pressed further. He was kind of joking around. Yeah. But yeah, and then he got one time he went with a bunch of strategies. He went like with a guilt trip strategy. Like he came back from like a work meeting or something, and they had this expensive sake, and then he's like, what about this? And I was like, nah, I'm still good. It was a bummer though, because I was like, I don't want to make him feel bad, but at the same time, it was every day. So like I'm a water man. I like my water. The notion of me putting alcohol inside, I'm just like, well, I don't need alcohol in my system. And if it's the taste, which I don't think it is, because the thing, if it's just about the feeling and the taste is actually subpar compared to other beverages, then I'm not really missing out on anything. That's my take. So actually, I want to know, for those who love beer, wine, whatever you love in the alcoholics world, is it the taste or is it the feeling? Like, yeah, you have to be honest with us here. If you could have any other beverage that you like, have the same like buzz as beer or whatever you like, would you do it? Questions up.
わかんないね。ここは皆さんに聞いてみるしかないですね。まあ、日本語でも言った方がいい？その、今言ったこと。大丈夫か？
I mean, but getting back to the the getting more people to drink, because we kind of went on a mini tangent there. I mean, my apologies, but also it was a very important thing I had to mention. So it is what it is. What is your vibe with like because I know you don't like going to nomikai, right? or like izakaya?
何好きじゃないってこと？
No,
私
as
が。
in like just in general, the whole culture for those people who don't know, like because I just said like I think all old Japanese people are raging alcoholics, and then a lot of people who have no context might be like, how dare you make such a big sweeping statement about Japanese people? And I'm saying, what am I? How off base am I? What's your take on this? Like you're a youth, right? You're technically in this. Hold up, are you in this age range? Yeah, you're in this age range. I was trying to see how specific they was, but like, do you feel like
待って、何歳から何歳？
20 to 39?
あ、そうだね。
I'm saying, do you feel like your 20 to 39 age range isn't drinking that much?
どうなんだろうね。まあでも確実にコロナ入る前とかはすごい飲んでる人は飲んでたと思うよ。なんか部活とかで飲み会とか先輩とかと一緒だとさ、そのコールっていうのがあるらしくて、コールされると先輩の先輩の飲めっていうなんていうの、指令を断れないから後輩たちはそれをね飲まないといけないっていうね。
Wait, コール？
謎のね文化が。
Wait, hold up.
コールっていう
I've
なんか
never heard of that before. How is so? Like, what is this? Like a sports event or like what?
普通の飲み会で間違ってたら分かんないけど、私一回もされたことないから、コールっていうのがなんか飲めみたいな、それをなんかリズムに合わせてなんか歌われて、それでなんかtake a shot とかしないといけないみたいな。
Yeah, we have that in the US as well. The chug or drink. Yeah, we both.
そんな感じ。そう。
Yeah.
それをコールっていうの。
一気飲む。
一気飲み？そう。
一気飲み。Yeah.
だからね。
No, but I'm saying nobody. I mean, maybe people tend to find friends that are more similar to them than different. So I'm assuming your friends don't drink either.
なんか私の周りはなんか節度を持って飲む人が多い。なんていうの？ちゃんと楽しんで飲む。なんかいっぱいなんか際限なく飲んで吐くんじゃなくて、楽しんでワイン一杯と美味しいお肉みたいな、そんな感じ。
ワイン一杯？
それが
Like they drink a lot of wine specifically?
違う、一杯じゃなくて一杯。One
glass. Okay, I see. 一杯。Okay.
そう。
Yeah, I actually haven't.
節度を持ってる。
It's funny, because I guess I don't have the impression that Americans are raging alcoholics. Although we do have them. We have there's a lot of parodies like TV shows like South Park about like rural Americans drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon, which is one of our brands of beer, or like Bud Light, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Corona. Shout out to the virus as well as the beer. But like from my experience, I don't think I have a single friend who doesn't drink. I think I'm the only person I know who doesn't drink. And all my friends who do drink, which would be all my friends, except for like two. All my friends, two of my friends do drink, but two of them I drink like every like once in a blue moon sort of. But the rest of my friends, it's like every time we're hanging out, somebody brings the beer. So I'm always the one this one sober dude.
なんだろうね、大人ってお酒飲みがちじゃない？集まるとき。例えば。
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
何？
You trying to say I'm not an adult?
違うよ。そこ、一般的に in general で、なんか、例えばさ、高校同じだった人と同窓会するときとか、レユニオンとかするときに、絶対なんかビール、お酒飲もうぜ、みたいなりそうじゃん。
Yeah. Now just making me wonder what the least sober or the most sober countries are, I guess is the way of phrasing it. Because now that I think about it, I called all the old people in Japan raging alcoholics, but I mean, my friends aren't alcoholics. That's the difference. I guess it depends though. It's because we don't hang out that, like, you know what I'm saying? If we hung out every day, then they probably would be drinking every day, but we don't hang out every day. But my host father and like the parents I've talked to of other Japanese, friends I have drink every day, multiple times a day.
すごいね。なんか。
Do your parents
毎
drink?
日本当に時々じゃない ?1、2ヶ月に1回とか。わかんない。そんな感じ。なんか特別な時じゃないとしか飲まないかな。
I've actually heard that. So a lot of forms of like personality traits and actions tend to be linked by like social exposure and stuff like that. But specifically with not drinking alcohol, apparently, and I don't know if this is genetic, whatever, but whether it's the genetic portion or social portion, but if your parents don't drink, if there's an extremely high chance of you not drinking, and vice versa. So both my parents
まあ
don't
そうだ
drink.
よね。
Yeah.
だって
But
さ、
but
まあさ
my sister and my brother
うん
do drink. So I don't know what that's supposed to say. I don't drink.
だから体質的にこれもちょっと医学的になっちゃうな。なんかアルコールをなんていうの分解できる酵素エンザイム
Yeah.
を持ってるとかなんていうの強いとか強くないとかっていうのがやっぱりジェネリックだからその両親がもしお酒強かったらね
I don't think it's about whether or not you have good genes that allow you to drink a lot of alcohol. And like because you can handle a lot of alcohol, you become an alcoholic. I think it's, from what I understood, it's more so like if you become an alcoholic, there's a high chance your parent was an alcoholic. And if you have a tendency not to like become addicted to things, whether it be alcohol or other drugs, then your parents most likely didn't have that problem either. And so I'm saying in our situations, like we both don't drink and both of our parents don't drink. Right?
うん
Yeah. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just find that interesting. So like the whole notion of, it's kind of like them banning, or not banning alcohol, but them encouraging alcohol, especially in the youth, could, like, let's say they're successful. How much more,
まあ
like, other unintended consequences are there to, like, you know what I'm saying? This is their goal at the moment. Their goal is to increase the consumption of alcohol and get more money off taxes. If they're successful, they will now have a larger amount of alcoholics that will grow up to be parents and then lead to more alcoholic children.
国にとってはいいんじゃない酒税取れるから
Well, I mean, yeah, you'll get more taxes from
Mm.
from drinking, but you'll probably end up with more domestic abuse, more crime,
そうだね
more, I mean, a lot of stuff if you have a bunch of
ね
alcoholics. Like on our previous episode, we were talking, I believe we mentioned how, or maybe we didn't, how there's a tendency, one of our previous episodes, for if there's a tendency for Japanese men in Tokyo to like black out in the middle of a train or the street.
black out?
Yeah, it means basically become unconscious, to fall on the floor.
ああそっかそっか仕事帰りでなんか飲んでその後になんか酔って意識失って電車の線路に落ちるみたいな感じ
Yeah, exactly.
なるほどねまあそういうのも、ね、よくあるからねまあ実際これさ若者に飲むように推奨してるじゃん
Yeah.
で実際これに乗って飲むぞってなる人はもともと飲んでる人だと思うからそんなにあんまなんか心配しなくていい気がするのも一面あるかな、
But I mean, it depends. So the U.S. had a jewel epidemic. So we used to have these, I mean, jewels still exist, but they're basically like, what are they called? Vapor pens. Like they vaporize water with nicotine, flavored water or something, and then people smoke that. And it was huge in America. Like for a period of time, there were like, every one of my friends, except for me, as always, was doing jewels. And I'm like, mine are even older, really. The majority, there were people like 12 to 14. Like people were doing Juuls really young. And they were flavored their bubblegum Juuls. Everybody was doing Juuls. And Juuls have nicotine. So it led to a lot of addiction problems. And to a lot of people who didn't smoke before that. None of my friends smoked before that. Literally none of them. I mean, not literally none of them, but like, I'd say half the people who were smoking Juuls didn't smoke before Juuls. And like some of my friends now, still to this day, they wear nicotine patches because they don't want to smoke, but they got addicted to the nicotine. So yeah. So I'm just saying, yeah, the effects on this is one of the dumbest, one of the most hilarious and equally dumb government decisions in a while. And as an American, that is a huge statement. We make extremely dumb decisions all the time. Shout out to abortion thing that happened.
そうね。まあ、うまくいくといいですねって感じ。
Yeah. 戻った。
We're back!
うん。
イェイ
今日。
イェイイェイ。
じゃなくて今週大事なことがありました。まあ先週言ったんだけど、ついに卒業が行われました。イェイイェイイェイ。
Congratulations!
うん。めっちゃ嬉しい。
How was the...
マジで。
Yeah, how was the graduation ceremony?
すごくなんか良かったよ。普通の、まあ私たちの先生一人が、こういうような、まあ再卒業みたいなものは、まあアメリカではほとんどがなんか 40% の学生しかなんか来ない。でも、
Really?
うん、そう。私の大学に関しては 85% 以上が来た。ということは、ほとんどの学生と、もちろん先生なんだけど、全員来ました。すごく、びっくりした。うん、そう。行く前に、友達は全然来ないと思ってた。まあ、と思ってたっていうか、直接、いや、私は来ないという友達が結構いた。それで、まあ、友達もいないし、私が聞いた話だと、日本人先生の2人が来ないをいらっしゃらないとも聞いたので、まあ、残念だけど、まあ、一人の先生に会えばいいと思ってたんだけど、結局、みんな参加してくれたので、結構、嬉しい。
All teachers?
まあ、全員かどうかはわからないんだけど、私の先生に関してはそう。
That's good, that's good. So, like, did you catch up with your teachers and friends?
そう、寿司食べた。日本人の先生と。日本語の先生。
Is sushi expensive in America?
まあ、高いかもしれない。
かもしれない。
まあ、
What was your...
わかんないんだけど、まあ、安くはない。まあ、一応高いと思う。ちなみに、日本だとどのような卒業式が行われるの？なんか、大学の卒業あったことないんだけど、高校はど
う？ Well, my high school...It was just like there were buffet at the gym, like school gym, you know, the building. And there were parents.
バイキングだったの？
Yeah, biking. So buffet but like we didn't get to eat those things because we had such a short time to talk. So I remember I didn't eat much there. Yeah, I just I took pictures with my friends and teachers and say thank you to teachers and say goodbye to my friends. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
1日だけだったの？
Yeah.
まあ高校の場合に関してはそうかもしれない。
Yeah.
大学の卒業はもっと大きい。まあ少なくともアメリカだとそういうことなんだけど。でも日本ではそういう高校 すごく憧れてるので、もっとなんていうか、すごい卒業があると思ってたんだけど、まあ卒業式。でもそうではない。ただ、なんか並んで、
Yeah.
そう、
Yeah, get the, how do I say?
証明書、
卒業。
卒業証明
Yeah,
書。
証書. I don't know how to say in English. But yeah, and then yeah,
certification.
my school. Sorry.
Or like your certificate.
Certificate. Yeah, that you
そう。
graduated. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I got it from the principal. Yeah, of the high school. Yeah.
うん。あ、直
And
接
yeah. So there's a stage at the gym, and then like students go up the stage and then get the certificate from the principal directly, and then like go down, yeah, the stairs, and
う
then
ん、そう、大体アメ
yeah.
リカに似てる。私の
Mm.
高校もそういう感じだった。でも大学は似てるところあるんだけど、まあ違うところもある。私の場合だと外で行われてた。実はほとんどの大学の
We
卒業
never
は
do
外
that.
で行われる
Yeah.
と思
Oh,
う。それ、
outside.
それと、その卒業前の3日間とか4日間は、ほとんどパーティーな感じになってるんだけど、
Wow. Hmm.
その友達
I
と
don't know.
他の同じ世代というか、同じ年代でもない。まあ年生
学年、
そう。
Yeah.
学年の人と
うん
いろんなイベントが、何でしたっけ設けている
設けられてるとか、
設けら
催される。
れている。そうそう、設けられている。
Yeah. うん
うん。でも、
that's cool.
一応楽しかった。
一応。
そうそう、一応。
一応、OK。
行ってよかった。
うん
でも私が思ったのは、なんか私がその日本人の先生、まあ日本人だけど日本語の先生、と話してた時に、結構私が4年生の時の2年生と1年生が4年生と3年生になった。で、その人も、まあ、何人かが私の卒業式に来たので、直接話す機会があったんだけど、私が思ってたのは、その私が4年生だった時に、なんかその人と同じような立場であったってこと。なんかわかる？というのは、
後輩。
今の2年生が私の後輩を先輩としてなんか、まあ見てる。つまり。
Yeah.
で、それはちょっと
Yeah,
不思議に思った。
Yeah, you feel like you're like a father, like looking at your children growing up.
いや、それだけじゃなくて、実はこれは、話したことないと思うんだけど、この夏、6回、私の年齢が18以下だと思われてた。他の人に。
You look younger, much younger.
25歳。私は25歳。18以下は7年、なんていうか、7年離れてる。7年。
Yeah, why
と
do
いう
you
ことは、
think?
わかんないんだけど、そういうなぜ私が若く見えるというと、まあ先生が言ってたのは、私がいつも賑やかなので、その賑やかな青春心が若い。でも私が言ってたのは、その、なんていうか、楽しそうに話してるのが大人じゃないという示しであるのなら、それはちょっと、かわいそうな現実だなと思ってた。なぜかというと、その前の、まあ、先週の話なんだけど、その大人になるというのは、だいたいその痛みと苦労を耐えられること。
Yeah, that's our definition. Yeah.
そう。それその意味で、その楽しそうにしてるというのは、 若く見えるのと同じかなと思ってた。
And also, you don't drink alcohol and you
そ
don't smoke, so that adds to that.
う、そう、
yeah.
そうなんですよ。
yeah,
でも
yeah,
私
yeah.
の
But that's a good
後
thing.
輩
Yeah.
は私より、
うん
なんていうか、年を取ったみたい。なんか私の方が
They
若
look
く
older.
見えた、
うん
と個人的に思ったので、それも、
うん
私は先輩だったと思ってたんだけどという、それだけじゃなくて、私にとってこの前の2年間は、まあ、たくさんのいいこと起こってたんだけど、大体なんか一緒みたいな感じだった。でも、その学校に入った時の2年間は結構、なんか時間かかった。なんていうか、遅かったみたいな感じがした。わかる？
Yeah, yeah, I kind of understand that. Yeah.
うん。それで、でもその後輩にとってその2年生と3年生と4年生の間はすごく大事というか、大きな変化が行われる。その2年生から4年生の違い。後輩と先輩の違い。でも私にとって何ともそんなになんか変わりがないと思ってたので、今のなんか1年生と4年生は実はそんなに違わないと思ってた。
もう、okay? Yeah.
つまり。
At the beginning, you didn't, yeah.
いや、今。
think, yeah.
いや、今、
あ
そんなに、そう。なんか今の私とその4年生の時は本当に一瞬のように感じたので、
okay.
一緒に感じたというのは、私が2年生の時と4年生の時の間は、その同じ、時間、2年間ぐらいだったので、なんていうか、不思議しか言えない。
Yeah, time flies だね。歳月人を待たず。Yeah.
どう？全然そんな気がしないの？
Oh, look back my high school years.
それだけじゃなくて、例えば、今の、何でしたっけ？部やってるでしょ？で、今年その部の退職しない、退職っていうか、他の人に、後付けしないといけないでしょ？
Well, yeah, I have to succeed at my job at my club to 後輩. But actually, here's the thing. My club is not that active. It's not an active club. So and also because of this COVID phase, I haven't seen my 後輩 in person. Most of them.
誰も？
Yeah, most of them. I met a few, 2 or 3 people, but that's it. So, yeah. And there are more than 15 students, 15 後輩 in my club, but I think I have met, very few of them. So,
でも
I don't feel yeah.
自分が後輩、その1年生の時に、その4年生の人の印象はどうだった？先輩という感じしたの？
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, yeah, my club is has no not so many events. So I only talk to just one senpai, one specific senpai. So yeah, that senpai is really senpai. Where
でも自
other
分から見る
senpais
と、
are
自分の今の4年生のあやみに関しては、同じような先輩になってると思う？
No, I don't think so. I feel like I'm still 18 inside, so I
そう。
don't feel like I
それが私が思ってた。
I get yeah.
でも学生だけじゃなくて、先生もなんていうか青春心を持ってたという印象もあった。私の先生に関してはね。 で、私が思ってたのは、いつ自分が自分を他の人として思ってしまう。なんか、あいみの今の私まだ、18歳の人。で、私の、上位は、なんていうか、年齢つけなくちゃいけないなら、21歳の上位とか、20歳の上位。
Is it mentally?
わかんない。メンタリー。自分が思う、例えばその前の、私が25歳だとは思えないんだけど、25歳。確かに。
Okay.
でも30とか35歳になると、私の上位はいつ他の、後輩じゃなくて、先輩と先生と大人という印象を自分に関する思うことが起きるのかという謎。
When do you actually feel you're an adult? Like
adult だけじゃなくて、違う人、なんか例えば私の先生に関しても、そういう話してたときに、なんか私の先生も学生だったってことが分かった。その話してたときに。
Yeah, but maybe that time will come, in the future. Yeah.
今の時点で永遠の18以下の人、2年生でしたっけ
1年生 I guess.
2年。何でしたっけその酒飲めない。
未成年
未成年、そう、未成年。
永
遠の未成年です。
未成年。
以上。
はい、じゃあ、ラストのセクションに参りました。始める前にお知らせがありますと。はい、ジョイさん何ですか
The usual. Actually, hold up. We do have a message this week, but for those who don't send messages, remember that you can send an email and or post on, I don't know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you do those things, at lazyfluency@gmail.com, although you can only email there, to send a comment, question, your own story, experience, language related and or otherwise, the time you got bit by a snail, or I don't know, some pet peeves you have, things you hate about people who don't drink alcohol. You can send angry comments, anything you want. But this week, we have a comment from a Matt. I believe it might be the same Matt that made a comment 2-3 weeks ago.
不思議なことにね。
Yeah, we keep having actually a lot of Matts.
そう、マット3人ぐらいいるんだよ。
Yeah. So,
同じマットじゃないのはわかるけど何人かわかんないんだよね。
Yeah, there seems to be Matts attacking the podcast, which is fine. We love our Matts. So, the more Matts, the better, as far as I'm
そうだ
concerned.
ね。次もマットだといいね。
Yeah. So this week, the comment reads as follows. I also hate cars. Respect. I also hate cars, so I frequently walk in places that nobody's supposed to walk, like on busy overpasses near my work. One day on my lunch break, it was really hot, so I took off my button-up work shirt. I went to a gas station to peruse the gross sandwiches they had there. I wanted to buy one because I was hungry, but I had already eaten the healthy lunch my wife had packed me. So basically, I looked disheveled, was walking in a place most people wouldn't want to walk, and was staring forlornly at cheap sandwiches. An elderly couple saw me doing this, and on my walk back to my office, they pulled up next to me and tried to give me $5 so I could buy the sandwich they thought I couldn't afford. I tried to tell them I was walking back to my job, and I just didn't want the sandwich, but they kept insisting. Eventually, I convinced them that I didn't need nor want their charity, and they left me alone. I find that the best way to be mistaken as homeless in America is to be on foot in places that were not designed for walking. Though thought that might be interesting, since you've had episodes now about how America isn't designed for foot traffic, and you also had an episode on homelessness. As always, thanks for the great podcast, Matt. Thank you, Matt. That story is hilarious. Do you have any thoughts on that?
どうする日本語バージョンも読むそれとも
Yeah, sure. I guess for the Japanese viewers so they can have a vibe. vibe check
じゃ
Go
あ、
ahead.
サクッと読んでいきますね。マットさんが日本語も送ってくれたからね、いい多分練習になったと思いますよ、マットさんにとっては。で、ちょっとだけ、直したりしたんでね。ちょっと言いたいことが違うと思ってたら、ごめんなさい。でも一応直したんで、はい、じゃあぜひ聞いてください。はい。車が嫌いなので、私も歩くのが好きです。その結果、よくホームレスと間違われることが多いんですよ。わらわら。はいはい。仕事の昼休みに暑すぎたので、ワイシャツを脱ぎました。シャツなしで陸橋を歩いてお腹を空かせたので、ガソリンスタンドにサンドイッチを見に行きました。もう妻が作った昼ご飯を食べたので、買うつもりもなくて、見てただけでした。これで痩せられます。はい。ガソリンスタンドには老夫婦がいて、サンドイッチを見てた僕を哀れみの目で見ていました。そして仕事に戻ろうとしたとき、老夫婦は僕の隣に車を止めました。空腹のホームレスだと思ったみたいで、5ドル札を差し出しました。で、マットさんがホームレスじゃないですよ、と言いました。はい。少し恥ずかしいですね。これにコメントすると、ちょっとね、恥ずかしいね。だって、そもそもさ、日本で、なんて言うんだろう、下着だけで歩くっていうのが、なかなかね、結
Wait,
構
you
な
said that
タ
was
ブーだから。
is that illegal or is it just taboo?
何？
Are you allowed to walk with your shirt off in Japan?
ダメ。多分、なんか、法的には分かんない、定められてるか分かんないけど、
That's what I'm
確実
talking
に
about.
警察に、
Wait,
確実に職務質問されるよ。多分。
even if it's not illegal?
うん。
That means it
だ
probably
っ
is
ておか
illegal,
し
which
い
is
じゃん。だって
ridiculous. It's so common in the
例
US,
えば
it's
さ、
not weird
う
at
ん。
all. It's not weird at all. Walking around with your shirt off
へえ。
is super common. I'd say most times I'm outside. Whatever. Like if I'm just in the backyard, my shirt's probably off. Like it's a summer's day. Like I don't know. My brother runs with his shirt off. I sometimes run with my shirt off.
ね、
Shirt
考
off
えられ
squad.
ないよ。
Like you said,
うん。
Matt doesn't have his shirt on either. It's not a big deal, personally speaking. I can
ね
relate
え、だ
or
から日本、
empathize
うん。
severely with Matt's issue here, though. I've walked in a lot of when I've been to Seattle or other places. So I have a few things. I always carry a backpack, like literally everywhere I go at all times. I love backpacks. I always have my water bottle in my backpack, as well
う
as other stuff.
ん。
And I love walking everywhere, even if where I'm going is not designed nor anybody intended to walk there. For example, Las Vegas Strip.
う
And
ん。
I'm also brown. And so
うん。
those things
確
together,
実にやばい。
I'm
う
hyper
ん。
aware when I'm walking around like police enforcement or anytime, basically when I'm walking ever, because sometimes I do get questioned. They're like, why do you do like, it's a weird balance of trying. If you say too much and act suspicious, they're going to think it's suspicious. If you don't say anything and act like you're trying to avoid them, that's suspicious as well. So I've not found the balance of not getting people to think you're doing something shady or you're homeless. I'm not sure what to say. I can
で、
empathize with you that it is infuriating that doing the better choice for your body that is better for the world in terms of pollution is the frowned upon option. And
う
with many of my
ん。
friends, I get directly, and my friends' parents, I still to this day get shamed for not having a car, even though I got my license when I was 13 and a half. Shout out to Idaho. That's a other story. Because
13
that's
歳で
below
免
the
許取るってどういうこ
legal
とだよ。
limit. But basically, in short, my brother registered and then didn't end up going for like through our school licensing like permit program, and I was able to basically take his spot because I don't know, it's Idaho. So but yeah, I don't know, I empathize with you. Do people get shamed? I'm assuming people don't
う
get shamed
ん。
for not having cars in Japan, right? Because nobody has cars.
そうね、恥ずかしいことではないよね。車持ってないのは。 けど不便じゃ不便かな、田舎に行った場合は。
Is it considered is somebody who has a car considered cool though, or is it like sticking out? You know what I'm saying? Like is it like you're trying to be cool and people don't like that?
何、車持ってることがってこと？
Yeah. Like, sometimes people think like in Japan, like somebody's trying to stick out or be cool, and so they don't like them for that. Is there that impression with somebody, like a beard maybe? Is having a car a cool thing?
多分ね、大学生だったら、まあそれはかっこいいことだと思うけど、普通の一般人っていうか社会人からしたら別にそんな持ってるから俺かっこいいだろうとかはないと思うよ。
Yeah, I mean,
かな？そんな。
yeah, it's definitely. There are a bunch of like in America, if you have like a really loud car, like or especially if it's like a Harley Davidson motorcycle or something like that, and you don't have a muffler on your car, it's thought that you're compensating for, because most of the time it's dudes riding these types of cars. So the understood joke that I believe is heavily based in reality is that people with large cars with mufflers, with no mufflers on them, have small penises. That's kind of the American impression of that. I wonder if is there any car hatred in Japan because everybody uses public transport? That's kind of what I'm interested about, because I feel like cars are the bikers of Japan.
どういうこと？車に対してさ、何か憎しみとかあるかってこと？
So for example, I think we talked about this before, about how bikers are hated in America, and like we're treated like scum trash. Everybody like wants us to get off the roads. I'm saying, given that nobody rides cars, I could totally see there being a sentiment of hatred towards cars in Japan. Do you have any?
いや、そもそもね、車乗るよ。車も乗るし、電車もすごいし、バスもすごいし。
I'll ride a car, but I'm just saying, you're walking across the street, a car pulls up around the corner and makes you stop. Are people angry?
そんな。たまに、なんていうの、信号無視したりとか、交通違反守ってない車がいたらそれは怒るだろうけど、そんな気に障ることはないかな。普通にしてる車だったら。
That's unfortunate.
どんだけ車が嫌いなんだよ。
A lot. I really don't like cars. As far as I'm concerned, the only cars that should be allowed are like for racing. You know what I'm saying? You can keep F1, you can keep all the sports car racing, you can keep drifting, because drifting is sick. I'll give drifting, it's sick. All other forms of individual cars, I mean, whatever, we can keep them, but I'll still dislike them.
もう一生歩きと自転車乗ってなさい、もう。
It's like you're telling me, like, as far as I'm a victim of the average car rider on a daily basis. And like I said, like Matt's saying, you basically thought you're like a homeless for not having for deciding, even if you have a car. Technically do have I have a car that I have access to that I could drive, but I don't. I like walking, I like biking. And that gets you, because you do that, you're thought of as either a criminal or homeless. Or even worse, a biker. That's the only thing worse than being criminal and homeless is being a biker in America.
Biker.
Dude, people hate. I know I told you, I think for a previous episode, like I've had cars physically try to hit me off the road when I'm already on the side of the road. I've had cars or trucks specifically, they shoot a bunch of like smoke intentionally at me. They have like an attachment on their car intended to shoot bikers with a bunch of smoke. By basically they make their car run less efficient, and it just shoots a bunch of smoke backwards. It's like insane. And there recently was a thing, I think this was in Idaho, I can't remember, maybe it wasn't, where somebody hit and like massively injured like 6 bikers who were biking together, maybe it was 3, and then didn't even get charged with any, like only got like a minor fine or something. It's insane. And they got like severely injured, all of them. And the worst part is it wasn't an accident. The driver in the pickup or truck intentionally tried to hit them, almost killed them, but didn't, and then barely got penalized for it.
それさ、なんでそのバイカーがみんながバイカーを嫌いなのかっていうと、あれ抜かしてくから、その横を通って抜かしたりするからかな。
It's because the biking infrastructure sucks, and bikers are forced to occupy the road, and bikers are fine. Most bikers are fine with occupying the side of the road. But the problem is the biking infrastructure, like I said, sucks. So you can't even do that most of the time because there are people parked on the side of the road. So the only place you can bike, and you're not allowed to bike on the sidewalk technically in most places because you're hitting pedestrians. And then, so basically you're forced to bike in the middle of the road, but then cars hate you for doing it because I would hate bikes for doing it too because bikes can't move as fast as cars. You need a separate lane, but Americans don't believe in separate lanes for bike traffic on the whole. And if they do, it's just a shitty paint job that doesn't actually prevent anything because people still park in it and cars still go through it. So,
なるほどね。
and that's a great message ending. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
ね、まあそもそもそのね、専用のレーンがないからそういうことが起きんだよね。
Yeah.
なるほどね。はいはい。
That bell means we reached the end of today's episode. Thanks for joining us in another lazy conversation towards fluency. If you have any language-related questions and or just looking for some general advice, send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com and we might respond in the next episode. Also, make sure to check out our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and more. We'd appreciate the support. This has been Joey.
And Ayami.
Signing off. じゃあねー。
じゃあねー。